How's everyone doing? I love that. Great. Any breakthroughs, any realizations from yesterday? Is everyone feeling a little bit different? I was a little bit more nervous today than I was yesterday. I don't know why, but I have a cousin that does Muay Thai, and he always tells me that nerves are a sign that something good is about to happen. So I believe him when he says that. All right, so we're just going to jump right in. So who here is interested in doing something with their business? All right, cool. Today we're going to be looking at business. If you're not a business owner or an entrepreneur or something like that, that's totally okay. You're going to get a lot out of this as far as looking at how to plan what is going to work for you in your life. And this is coming from a girl who I very happily lived in a van on Maui for a while, hanging out at the beach. I very happily traveled around in my car for a summer, hopping from music festival to music festival, not knowing what I'd be doing 2 days from that day for a while. So when I say structure is really hard for me, I'm not kidding. This is the part, though, that, like I said, I've had to work on myself. I've had to work really hard to be able to create this sort of structure. Now, I actually have plans already set for around this time next year. I already have my calendar set. I already have trips planned. I already have things set in motion that I know are going to happen. So when we talk about and look at creating a plan, visualizing your success, and being able to make it happen, it really has a lot to do with the planning and the structure. I call that the framework. I spent the first year of my business really laying the foundation. More or less, I was kind of picking the plot, right? You got to kind of pick the plot. You got to figure out your niche. You got to figure out what your specialty is. You got to pick the plot, and then eventually you move into laying the foundation. And a lot of you have met me in that stage of laying the foundation. Now this year is about creating the framework. I really do believe that that laying the foundation part it's kind of like the first speed bump. It's a little bit harder to get over. We were talking about it yesterday in the VIP room about getting over doubt. That first hump of getting over doubt about psychic awareness, what your abilities are, your intuitive development, all of that. It's like that first hump, that first initial bump is the most challenging. And once you get over that skepticism, you can simply recognize skepticism again and go, okay, well, now I can go into it with curiosity, as Shauna was saying. You can use that curiosity to be able to see that there could potentially be something behind that that's going to really set you free. So when we're looking at creating a plan, this is, I guess it'd be like kind of creating the blueprint of what it is that you want. It's the intention and putting the intention into action. It's kind of creating the flow of the river. Where do you want the river to go? Where do you want the energy to go? This is the part of co-creation. So the components. We have this schedule. This is structure. One of the things that I think is really, really important, and one of the greatest, I think, talks I listened to was putting into your week your nurturing, your self-care, and your exercise first. Scheduling that into your week. I do yoga 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it is my non-negotiable. I do not book sessions at those times. I do not work with other people. I get away from my phone. And those 4 hours of my week are my saving grace. It's what gives me the strength, the perseverance, the calmness. Sometimes my yoga instructor really kicks my ass and I'm laid out for a couple of days, and then I get to rest. But that structure, scheduling in what is important to you, what your top priorities are, even if it's like responding to clients, creating like a Facebook Live plan. If you actually map out your week and you decide that, for me, Transformational Tuesdays, I'm sure most of you have seen those. I've been doing Transformational Tuesdays now. I've done 42 of them, so almost a year. I'm really excited about that. I think it's the only thing in my life that I've done that consistently for that long. But that is non-negotiable. Absolutely non-negotiable. Tuesday mornings at 9, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. At 8:59, I might be finishing my mascara, trying to get there really quickly. But those times are really important to have dialed in. If you don't have those in, for how many of you is it easy to just like, I'll get to it later, I'll get to it tomorrow, I'll get to it tomorrow, over and over and over. If you don't already have it on your schedule, you don't already have it planned, it's so much easier to just push it away. And you really do have to be disciplined with it. You really do have to be disciplined with yourself in sticking to that commitment for you. Because who are we doing this for? Number one. Who's number one? Me. All right. So the necessary items to creating your plan. This kind of has to do with research. What are you going to need to actually implement? What are you going to need to buy? What kind of equipment do you need to have? Who's going to be involved? Are you going to be doing interviews? Are you going to include other people in what it is that you're doing? I will tell you that doing interviews, Facebook Live interviews, is a really great way to cross-promote. I know that some of you are in this room because Denise and I did a couple of videos. I know that for the Facebook feature and to just kind of swap with each other, it's a great, great, great way. I had a series, it was a short-lived series, but it's called Let's Get Raw, and basically it was like, let's talk about anything. And I invited my most magical friends to these interviews, and some of you saw them, some of you haven't, but I invited my friends to these interviews, and we just had the coolest conversation about whatever it be. Near-death experiences. Araya and I had a really deep, long conversation about dragons and what our experiences with dragon energy was, and angel wings, and there's something about solidarity, about being able to talk about it with somebody else, that if anyone's going to look at you and judge you for being a lunatic, like, whatever, we're loonies together. You can't take that away from us. But look, just really being aware of what you're going to need to be able to do it and having that set up. The last minute stuff, I mean, how many of you are procrastinators? Okay. I'm a huge procrastinator. Huge. I did my slides for today last night. But part of the reason for that is, I know it's kind of funny, but part of the reason for that is because I like to feel the energy of the room here, and I like to know what it is that we're going to need to talk about and what it is that we need to go over. Yesterday, I threw a whole slide deck out the window and said, let's talk about something else. So part of that for me is being able to create the structure and then also leave room for intuition and the present moment. What needs to happen right then, and that really is being adaptable. It's being able to shift and move and roll with the punches, see what's happening, and move with it. My willingness to be adaptable, my willingness to be flexible, my willingness to roll with the punches, I know is something that has contributed to the success that I've had in the growth of my business. I know that. That's unwavering for me. So knowing, the necessary items, the budget. This is one that I'm absolutely terrible at, so I'm not really going to go into preaching on this. But it is something that is important to be aware of, because you can grow your business. You guys, I started doing Facebook Lives the second Facebook Lives came out. Last year, Facebook Live brought my business from I was making $10K a month starting in August of 2015. By January and all of last year, I was able to bring it to a multiple six-figure business, literally in less than 15 months. 15 months previous that, my joke is that I was lucky if there was a comma in my bank account. Literally, I was barely making money, but I was still continuing to go and continuing to go and to continue to go. And I had people that believed in me, that knew what I was meant to do. I believed in myself because I was in a car accident. and I broke my nose. And it was really like, could not be any more in my face. Really, this is what I need to do. So I stopped everything and I dedicated my life to growing my business. All right, the why. Hands down, by far the most important. Who here has watched Grow Your Soul-Centered Business? Okay, so you've seen the segment on the why. Hands down, bar none, the absolute most important piece to all of this. You have to know why you are doing this. If you don't have a why, if you don't have a reason, you have no reason. If you have no motivation, you have no motivation. Now, for some of you, your why is getting your kids into a better house. For some of you, your why is, I know for me, my why is really, really deep and really personal. Really deep and personal. That for me, my motivation around making money has way more to do with healing childhood wounds than anything else. And that why, maybe I will have an opportunity to share it with you sometime. I'm not going to right now. But it is something that I hold so near and dear to my heart that it is what motivates me. And it comes from a really deep wound. Really deep wound. Did you want to share something? You got to come to the mic. James says so. You got to turn it on too. I know, it's an obstacle course around here.
So soft. There, it's louder today. I truly feel that if, and you're saying it right now, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not going to be worth it for you.
Yeah.
You need to be so passionate about you that it brings tears, it stirs that something so deep inside you that your why should make you cry.
Yes.
Yes.
She did that. Yes, 100%. 100%. I have some clients that have taken out loans to work with me. I have some clients who were able to just simply pay up front, not really feeling it. Now, when I look at that, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow because we are going to have a deep conversation about money, but I found that there's an interesting shift, there's an interesting exchange. That if the energy exchange doesn't cause a bit of a sting, then it also doesn't create a lasting transformation. And we're going to talk also today about how to actually create transformation in your clients. How to not just see somebody one at a time. Because what I've learned with that is that if somebody is seeing you inconsistently, then it's a cha-cha. You give them tools, they take a step forward, and then they get really excited about it, and then they fall back into their old routine, and then they come back and you have the same conversation, and it is not exciting. No, it's not thrilling. It's not one of those sessions where somebody walks out and you're like, yes. It's one of those conversations where it's like, oh, I don't know what to do about this. Do I fire them? Do I charge them more? What do I do? And we're going to have that conversation because I know that it's really important. Really important. So the why, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Digging deep and finding it's similar to finding that purpose, that reason for being, that reason for living, that reason for getting up in the morning. We all have a few of those, but this why, and the reason for this, to go a little deeper, is that there are some days that absolutely suck. There are some days that I feel like I am a slave to my own creation. And that might be a little bit of an extreme way to say it, but at the same time, for me working towards my why, for me working towards what I believe will help to heal my wounds, and who knows, I might arrive there and be like, but at least I got the motivation out of it, There's no way to tell because I haven't gotten there yet. And hopefully you'll be there with me when I get to that point in my story, when I do, and I can share that with you. But the why, it has to be deep because otherwise it will fall flat and you'll find any sort of reason to skirt out of it. For those of you that are procrastinators, you'll find any sort of reason to back up out, to make up reasons, to make up excuses, to really sidestep the whole process, to avoid working through your pain, to avoid working through your trauma, to avoid having other people see you clearly. If your why is not really and truly coming from the inside of your gut, in the inside of your heart, your soul's calling, it doesn't work. It falls flat. And the other thing about this is that you have to be careful and aware of something that is emotionally driven. Because if your why makes you cry because you're emotional about it, that also isn't grounded or founded enough, because our emotions are fleeting. And so those fleeting emotions, it can move or it can change at any time. So you have to find something that is rooted within yourself that is that why to move forward. And as you know, I'm not a mother, but I do believe and I do see that for those of you that are mothers that have children, or fathers that have children, there's a why right there. I think for a lot of people, family is a huge motivator. Huge motivator. All right, so visualizing success. This is another huge component of it. That to create your plan is one thing, but the visualizing success is that working from the middle of the maze and working your way back out of it so it becomes a little bit easier. Your plan is coming from the other side and working your way in. So once you meet those both in the middle, you guys following me here? Once you meet them both in the middle, you can actually find how that trail works, and it actually becomes a lot easier. So the visualizing success, the components of this, the power of belief, which we talked about. If you do not believe that it is possible for yourself, it isn't. Just right there. You're blocking yourself. You're ending your possibilities. There has to be a part of you inside that feels that. If the dream of your success does not absolutely scare the shit out of you, you need to make a bigger dream. You have to. I mean, it's nice to think of something and think, I want to do that, and be able to go out and do it and to see it manifested. There is real power in that. There is real power. Even if you're just holding a weekend workshop or you're holding a class and the people show up and you're like, wow, this is what it looked like when I saw it. Yay. That's wonderful, because that is validating, right? That boosts your confidence. That helps you to see that it is possible. So we do want to be aware of and pay attention to every step, the baby steps, the micro steps, making a Facebook Live or making a post, using social media, sending an email, making flyers, whatever it be, to promote, because those are the steps in which we do have to let people know. If people don't know that you exist, how are they going to find you? Like, that's the first step. You have to let them know that you exist, and you have to let them know that you're available. So the power of belief is also, yes, coupled with how it is that you're implementing. And this goes back to creating the plan. Scheduling your email cycle, scheduling your Facebook Live, scheduling whatever it is, your outreach. So again, believing that it is possible for you. The power of belief is going to be your biggest ally in this. Again, 100%. My big like, yes, I have arrived. That moment for me that I see and visualize for myself is having cruise ship retreats. I want to have a full-on retreat that is on a cruise ship that is full of my people. You can be there. Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll get bunk beds. And Morocco. Oh, we're talking about Morocco. Don't you worry about that. But yes, power of belief. Again, you guys, we're here for a very short period of time. Why not push yourself as far and as hard as you can to see what you're actually made of, to see what you're actually capable of? I mean, and that, to me, that's my motivator. I like intensity. I like challenge. I, unfortunately, love learning things the hard way, and I'm working on that one. But really and truly, let's make the most of this while we're here. And by the way, we're in a room full of rock stars that are going to be able to cheerlead you every time you fall, because you will fall. You know, the first 3 classes I had, nobody showed. Not one person. Not one person. $75 for 2 days of just basic intuitive development. Like, I forget what I called it. Nobody showed up. So I did it again. Nobody showed up. So I started raising my prices. I'm not kidding. I started raising my prices. And people started thinking, ooh, maybe there's more value in this. And I shit you not, that was when I started seeing results from my clients. I started seeing change. I started witnessing transformation. I started seeing willingness because they had skin in the game. It wasn't just me saying, hey, I can help you, because I can. But I can't if you're not willing to help yourself. I go back to my client that brought me the pictures of the men on dating sites. Is this the guy? Is this the guy? You guys, I'm not kidding. We had like 4 sessions like that. I finally was like, okay, I don't know how else to say this. You have to learn to love yourself. And we worked on it. And finally she called me. She's like, I felt like you got frustrated in our last session. I'm like, I'll work on it. And I totally did. So I learned things. You're not going to get everything right. How many of you here are perfectionists? That's a lot. Whoa. I think I have tendencies. I like to say in particular, which probably means I'm more of a perfectionist than I think, because I'm even perfecting that word. You got to let that go. And it's so much easier than just hearing me say that and being like, okay, I'll let that go. One thing, write this one down in caps, remember it, highlight it, do whatever you do, but progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Have you guys looked at my website lately? It's in progress. It is in progress. I got Hugo. Where's Hugo? I think he's outside. But I got Shore on it. Shore found, or I guess I found them at the last event that I went to, and they're going to help me. They're going to do the copywriting. They're going to do the design work. I just got to give them my colors, my stuff. I've got all sorts of stuff that show my style, and so they're going to help me with it. Thank goodness, because my specialty is not in designing websites. I've designed a couple of them for myself by myself, and thank God, because the technology is getting easier and easier and easier and easier. User-friendly technology is like key right now, and it is everywhere. Literally everyone in this room right now could go online and start designing your website today. And you could easily have your first or maybe even 2 pages done by tomorrow while you're at this event. I am not kidding. It is really getting that easy. So being aware that, I will say your website is not everything, obviously. If you don't have your prices on your website, guess what? People contact you, and they ask you what your prices are. You know what that does? It opens a dialogue instead of deterring them. You can then say, let's hop on the phone. Let's get on the phone and we'll talk about it. We'll see if we're the right fit. Because that's what you want to do. If somebody is stuck and they don't really want to get themselves out and they see your price tag and they're like, I don't think my healing is worth that. I need somebody cheaper. Whatever it be, no. This is really about finding people who are committed and willing. So the power of belief, of visualizing your own success, really also has to do with visualizing the clients that you want to be working with. This is, I talked about it again in Grow Your Soul-Centered Business, but the client avatar, really and truly seeing that person. Every time I do a client avatar exercise, because I've done it a few times now at this point, I'm literally like on the phone with that person within the week. Literally, 2 kids. Oh, you're going through a divorce. Oh, this. Oh, that. Oh. Then I start looking. I'm like, oh, this is Crystal. Not the same name, but the person. And I have a theory around manifesting. And again, this comes from Samantha's book of theory, so take it with a grain of salt or soak it up, whatever you want to do. But that manifesting isn't exactly, I want this, so I'm going to visualize it, I'm going to pray for it, I'm going to call it in. But more or less, manifesting is also, and this isn't the only, but that manifesting is an aspect of our future self that comes back to us and says, hey, make room for this, because this is coming. So then your present time self says, I want that. I want that. I totally want that. And so then you start making room. Because if you don't have room to receive, it doesn't happen. I see this, I think the easiest way to describe this is people that are in relationships that they do not want to be in, yet they're in anyway, which I don't understand. But these relationships that people are in, they don't want to be in, they're literally blocking themselves from allowing somebody else to come in. They're blocking themselves from being open to a new possibility or new potential. And so when you're doing that, you're not allowing newness to come through. I used, my grandma Susie has a voicemail box that is always full because she saves every voicemail. She's like a voicemail hoarder. She saves them all. What if I want to hear their voice? I'm like, how many of those do you need? I can't leave you messages. So my point with that, I called her, I think it was one of my first blog posts, was The Art of Letting Go. And my hypothetical story on this is, let's just say that somehow she got called and won 2 tickets to the Bahamas. Fully paid cruise, whatever it be. And yet she would never know that because her voicemail box is full. Because she was sleeping or in the shower when the phone rang. But the point is that there's no way for her to get that information because it's completely blocked. This is the same is true for when you're manifesting. If you're not open to receive, you're not going to be able to receive. You're blocking yourself. So if you're saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want to be in a better relationship, but this schmuck is still taking up all of my time and space and energy and attention, so you can't really actually pivot and focus in another direction to allow somebody in. And obviously, this is an example that you can apply in all different areas of your life. All right, so amusement and joy. Another really, really important one. Elsie, we're going to do the dance with everybody. And I'm going to tell the story about the check. It's very exciting. Okay, so I had a friend, Bex, you know her, Annalisa. We were outside of a bar, like 2 o'clock in the morning, doing what we do, chatting. At last call. And we're outside, and she's like, yeah, I know this like little thing, and it's really fun because sometimes it just happens, but she goes, I'm going to teach you a little song. So I said, okay. And she goes, the check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. And I'm like, hell yeah, it is. The check is in the mail. Okay, so like 3 years prior to that, I bought a stupid piece of workout equipment from an infomercial. Don't judge me. They got sued because it didn't work. And I literally, within 2 weeks, had a check in the mail from that place, from the settlement of them getting sued. What? I was like, this check literally came out of nowhere. And I still don't have great abs. Like, that makes no sense. So I told Elsie about it. Would you mind coming to share what happened? And after she does, we're all going to stand up and do this because we have all of us doing this right now. Come on. There you go. Here we go. Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Well, Samantha tells me this story, and I was really impacted by it. I'm very much into symbols and doing things that create motion and bring things into your life manifested. So I got home after she told me that, and when I went to the mailbox, I went, the check is in the mail. My neighbors were like, okay. The check is in the mail. I get to the mailbox, nothing. So I said, okay, my name is Elsie Persistence Mendez. I'm going to continue. Next day, I do the same thing. Nothing. Third day, nothing. Almost like, well, maybe Samantha, it's the fluke thing, whatever. I go to the mailbox, the check is in the mail. Yeah, the check is in the mail. And I get this envelope that I don't recognize. So I usually open this stuff while I'm walking to my door because it's multitasking. And I open the thing and the check is in the mail for what, $84? Whatever it was. I don't know who sent it to me. I don't know the company that sent it to me, but it was the most amazing thing. So I took a picture and sent it to Samantha.
Yeah.
And I have been getting checks in the mail after that almost once a week.
Woo!
So it works.
All right, so you guys ready? Everyone up, everyone up, everyone up. All right. I don't know how many rounds we're going to do this. We're going to do it until we feel like we believe it, okay? All right. The check is in the mail. 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 Come on, get down. The check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. Woo! All right, we'll do that a few times today. Why not? Let's just call them like $5 million worth of checks. No strings attached. All right, so amusement and joy. Bringing the vibration up. How much better do you feel now than 5 minutes ago? Woo! That was fun. That was kind of silly, right? It's good stuff. That's the good parts, right? So practicing. Knowing your power to visualize and practicing your power to visualize is going to expand all of it. The more you practice, the more you understand, the more you see where there's a block here or there, the more you can ease through and move through. Recognizing blocks is key to your ability to visualize success. That's right. Taking action. That's right. I'm going to sing about it. Because this is a part where most people get stuck. Procrastination, perfectionism. It will keep you from getting stuck. The fear of looking stupid, the fear of screwing somebody else up. Who else has other fears that are keeping them stuck right now? Yep. Go ahead and just say them. What are they? Let's talk about them.
Fear of success.
The fear of success, right?
What other people will think about me.
Uh-huh.
Fear of failure.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So fear, we talked about this one yesterday. Fear of what other people think of you. Who else has that one?
Fear of rejection.
All right, so fear of, we're working on one at a time. Fear of what other people will think of you. That is self-judgment. That is self-judgment. And I know this because I've been there, and it still comes up for me. It's really interesting because I was confident with my psychic stuff. I was still, like I said, hiding it from my family. My dad wanted me to be an engineer because he thought I'd do great in a man's world. And I didn't want to do that. He also wanted me to play basketball. I was like, I'm going to be a cheerleader. Thanks. I told him I was going to be a psychologist, and he obviously had no idea what that even meant. Then I told him I was going to be a psychic a couple years later, and he's like, what? No idea. And I mean, I've always been a daddy's girl through and through, from beginning to end, and even right now. And I didn't really know how to handle it. Like, it hurt me, but I didn't know how or why. Like, did I have to convince him? I knew that he loved me, but I knew that he just didn't understand. Then I was published in a book that is 300 Best Lightworker Psychics and Mediums in the United States. And I was published in that book with a write-up by the publisher, right? Shauna's in it too. Yes, Maximilian. And I've never met him, but he wrote a beautiful thing about me, which was absolutely wonderful. And finally, I went home, I picture in this book, this beautiful write-up, and I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm going to be a psychic. It's going to happen. And still, he's like, wow, well, that's cool. And he has this 1940-something Willie that he absolutely loves. The license plate is my Willie. Loves those jokes. And so I'm driving with him. I'm in this really pretty little blue halter top sundress, cruising with my dad and his Willie, and the fucking Jeep runs out of gas. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, and it's covered in rust. It's really old. It's not like a fancy thing. And so he's like, you got to get out and push. I'm like, are you serious, Dad? So I get out and I'm pushing, right, because I'm Daddy's girl. I'll do what he says. And we get to his buddy's house, a friend of his house, and we're in the driveway. And he's talking to his friend, and apparently his friend knew me when I was like 6, and of course we never remember those people. So I'm like, yeah, hi, good to see you. And he says, what are you doing now? And immediately my gut turned, completely turned, because now I'm in front of my dad's friend. And my dad isn't really fully behind me on this. And I look over at my dad, and I'm silent, and he goes, she's a psychic. And I swear, it was like everything in my world changed. It really did, because all of a sudden I had the person whose approval and whose attention I wanted most in this world, right, because that is usually our parents. I had his support, and it changed in the funniest way. But that fear of what other people are going to think, I think when we look at our family, it's the most challenging, right? Who here isn't a black sheep in their family? You're the normal guy? You're the normal guy? Okay, we got 3, 4, 5.
Rainbow sheep.
You're the rainbow. Melody's the black sheep in the room. Just kidding. You are the rainbow sheep with glitter and sparkle. Okay, so yes, the fear of rejection. Why are we afraid of getting rejected? This is something that my coach told me that I absolutely 100% love. Rejection is God's protection. Rejection is God's protection. There's a moment in life where you can visualize a big giant hand coming out of the sky and just scooping someone away from you. That is rejection. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And why are we afraid of it? Probably because we've been rejected by our parents in one way, shape, or form. I used to stand in front of the TV when my dad would watch football, being like, hey! I can't raise my arms in this dress, so they just go right here. So I'd stand in front of the TV, and I'd be like, hey, I'm right here, Dad. To me, that's a sense of rejection, right? That's a form of rejection. That my dad would rather watch football than hang out with me. Now that I'm older and I'm an adult, I kind of get it, right? But still, at the time, it hurt. So that sense of rejection, overcoming that sense of rejection, is really, really powerful. Really powerful, because it's knowing, one, that you are what? Number one. And who's number one?
Me.
Who's number one?
Me.
Woo! Okay. So you overcome that fear of rejection by accepting yourself. When you've accepted yourself and you do understand that rejection is God's protection, that fear of rejection, vanishes. And when it shows up, you can see where are you either holding on to a story of rejection that you're allowing to define yourself and your relationship with yourself, or, I just forgot the other one. It'll come back to me. But I mean, how many of you have seen me do something you don't like? It's okay, you can raise your hand. Okay, my sister's the only one. Okay, Araya, Shauna, right? And why is that? Preconceived judgments about maybe the way expectations of how somebody else thinks I should be. Matching pictures. Exactly. Matching pictures and triggers. That's exactly what it is. What is resentment? Resentment is being pissed at somebody else for doing something that you actually wish you could do. That's what rejection is, or resentment is. Why are you resenting somebody? Because you're pissed off you can't be doing what they're doing. Why are you jealous of somebody? Because you're pissed off that they're doing something that you think you want to be doing. It all comes back to number one. It always does. I haven't had a mentor or a coach or, people in my life, right? There's always things that we don't like about somebody else. And that's perfectly okay. We're allowed to feel that way. But the difference between accepting them for those aspects that are just not like you is completely different than saying, I don't like them, I'm judging them, keep them away from me. Because that right there is your own rejection. Yes. Got my hype girl in the room. But really and truly, these things, these fears that keep us from taking action are emotional attachments to things inside of ourselves. Either that we love and admire, or more importantly, that we aren't okay with. If somebody isn't a fit to work with you, let them go. Let them go. When I was first doing this, I interviewed a bunch of my first clients about what was, and I encourage all of you to do this, what was their draw to work with me? What was the attraction? What was going on in their life? All of that. And I had one woman who I deeply respect and admire in so many ways. But she said something to me that landed. And she said, no amount of money is worth working with a tool. You guys all know what the tool means? A tool is a slang term for somebody who is a pain in the ass, I guess. Isn't up to a certain caliber. Because we do have to be aware of this. We do have to be aware of this. You're not here to heal everybody. You're not here to work with everybody. You're not here to fix everybody's problems. There are some people that will come into your world to teach you about rejection. I encourage you to play the no game. When you go out there, have as many strategy or discovery calls as you can. Have as many interviews to qualify people as you can. And work on getting as many no's as you can. How do you eliminate the fear of rejection? Get rejected over and over and over and over and over again and realize that you're still okay. The challenge with that is that some people stop when they get rejected. Their feelings get hurt. It's not personal. These are lessons. These are lessons that are coming to you and for you. The fear of success, how do you overcome that? You become successful. The antidote to what you're to your fear is the fear itself. You have to jump into it. You absolutely have to. There's no other way. How did I overcome my money and scarcity issues? I took out a massive loan and had to figure out how to swim my way out of it. I had a big, fat, giant bonfire of debt under my ass that said, if you fail, it's going to burn for a long time. And so I went, okay, game on. Game on. That doesn't work for everybody. It worked really well for me. It worked really, really well. So the taking action. You have to face the fears that are coming up for you. You absolutely have to. There's no way around it. Yeah. Yeah, please do.
So one of the things,
Oh, you got to turn it on again.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
Checking. Okay. One of the things that I've started practicing in my life, practice also using that word instead of setting up this expectation for myself and then realizing that I didn't meet it, instead of saying, oh man, failure, bah, I instead say, that was great practice. That has really changed a lot for me. But also the what if game. I am playing that what if game in a new way. So the old way was, well, what if failure this? What if failure that? What if fear, 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 fear? Well, let's balance that out and say, what if I freaking touch 1 million lives? What if I touch a heart that needed that love and I've saved somebody's life? What if I change the world? What if anything? What if everything? So I'm like, use that what if game. Use it at its own game. And let's what if it up.
Melody's just learning how to believe how awesome she is. So thank you all for clapping. And yes, Melody. First time I heard Melody say that, because it was in one of our classes, I actually turned around and I did a Facebook Live about it. Because it touched me, because the one what if that she said is, what if you find love? What if you find the greatest relationship, friendship, romantic, whatever it be? What if you take a risk and it actually works out for you? Ooh, I just got chills. What if you take a risk and it works out? I mean, what do we know about failure?
It's good practice.
It's good practice, yes. But what do we know about failure really is that those are our greatest lessons. Exactly. If you're not making mistakes, if you're not screwing up, if you're not, finding where the bumpers are, then you're not really working towards it. You're not really practicing. You're not putting what you know into motion. And that is the most important part, is putting it into motion. I usually have so much to say. Now that the screen is going, I'm like, okay, here we go. Components. Gathering information. This is key. And this can also be your absolute worst enemy. Absolute worst enemy. I can't tell you how many absolutely incredible, extraordinary human beings I have watched doubt themselves by taking one class after one class after one class and getting another certification, another certification, another I have a friend that has like 6 certifications in sound healing. That might be an exaggeration, but it's a lot. And it's a gathering of information that can actually stifle your growth. Now, at the same time, information is what is really going to help you move forward. But before information is experience. Gathering your own experience is what is going to be tenfold over any information that you find. 100%. If you don't experience it, then you can't validate what you've been taught. What you've been taught, and you can't validate what you've already learned and absorbed. So the gathering information, the applying said information, you have to apply it. You have to put it into practice. You have to check and see. Survey, 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 survey. Survey everything. Survey all of your people. See what they want. Then create what they want for them. One of the things that we as creators can do is get a little bit ahead of ourselves and just create something because we want to, and then realize that maybe that's our own little passion. Maybe that's our own little hobby, that we're not actually looking at what other people would want to implement in their lives. So know that you may have one area of expertise, but you're also really good at teaching something else, and yet that something else is what other people want. Go there first. Because once you build the relationship, they're going to be interested in what else you have. It doesn't really matter beyond that. Once that relationship is built, once you build that rapport with them, it's going to actually influence and impact them in a different way. Because what are we as human beings craving? attention, connection, relationship. One of my biggest fears that I actually worked out with myself in a float tank, it was right before I started the Earth Angels program, and I was freaking out because I didn't think my heart was big enough to hold as many intimate relationships as I have. I've said over and over, my Earth Angels and my intuitive alchemists know me better than my friends, know me better than my family, because these are areas and circumstances in which we share much more deeply than you do in normal everyday conversations. And I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to maintain those relationships. Because what comes with relationships? Expectations, standards, well, meet me here, da-da-da. The way that I've been able to work that is by setting boundaries. And we'll talk about that. But for me, it's actually expanded my heart. Facing my fear was jumping into it. How many intimate relationships can I have? How many relationships can I have with people that we share and know each other on a soulful level? I don't believe there's a limit to that. Obviously, there's a limit to how many people you can call in a day, how many lunches you can have in a week. But that's not really what it's about, right? Once relationships are formed, they're formed. Some friends, some people you can pick up right where you left off, and it's still a beautiful thing. So acknowledging that, again, the information also goes into creating relationships. The information about yourself. How willing are you? How open are you? The implementation. Obviously, this is the most important part. You must implement. You must go forward. I laugh at myself constantly because I say that I'm a cha-cha learner, meaning I'll learn something, take it and run with it, and be like, well, that screwed up. I totally screwed up. Okay, back up, back up, back up. And I call it the cha-cha. So it's like 3 steps forward, 2.5 steps back, 3 steps forward, and it's over and over and over again. Again, I'm working on that one. Learning how to be patient, learning how to absorb, and learning how to gather information that then equips me with the confidence that I have to know what I'm talking about. Do you know that like 90% of what you do, I say it's like speaking Latin? If you say it with confidence, not many people are going to question this. I watched a video the other day, and a guy was proving a point around this. And I think one of the things that he said was like 90% of smokers don't die of lung cancer. He said it so confidently. I was like, huh, really? And then he's like, but gotcha. Obviously, it was much more professional than that. And he had it all figured out. But his point in that was in that when you say something, when you say it with confidence, it's easy for people to be able to either learn or absorb or acknowledge what it is that you're saying. Or, since we all have oracles in our pocket now, we can fact check with Google. But for the most part, a lot of it comes from the way that you hold yourself, the way that you compose, the way that you share information. Now, I think the first time Melody came up, you came up to the microphone at Become, there was a little bit more timidness, right? It's coming out of the shell. You just popped up here like, girl, I got something to say. I'm going to say it. And it's wonderful. Wonderful. Who here is ready for Melody and her weekly lives? Please. All right. It's in your pamphlet. We're going to say it out loud together a couple times because the first time is probably like the first pancake. It's going to be a mess. And is that okay? Yes. All right, so 1, 2, 3. I believe this to be possible for myself because I can see it and am willing to take massive action. How many of you believe that? All right, we're going to get all the arms up. 1, 2, 3. I believe this to be possible for myself because I can see it and am willing to take massive action. How's that feeling? We need to do it one more time? One more? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Now you're going to write that in your own handwriting and get it tattooed on your arm. I mean, that's kind of long. Maybe you could find a symbol that means that. These heart tattoos on my fingers, I'm sure you guys have seen them in my lives. For me, they represent love yourself first to remove the obstacles. I was sitting in an ayahuasca ceremony in Maui, and that was my thing. Like, why is my life blowing up? Why is all of this like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've completely lost control. How do I fix this? And literally, right as I sat down was, well, you're putting everybody else's needs in front of your own. You're trying to solve everybody else's problems, and you're not even looking at yourself. So I literally put them on my fingers to remind me over and over again that as long as my needs are taken care of, I can actually take care of the needs of others. But until then, I'm going to feel like I am getting crushed by life. That's why yoga for me is a non-negotiable. I have to. It helps me maintain sanity. It really does. So, I had a little bit of, actually had quite a few meltdowns before this in the last couple weeks. It's been intense. And as per usual, for this kind of thing, for me, for this kind of growth, this growth that I myself am stepping into, there is always challenges, there is always pressure, there's always things that is happening right before, and sometimes even after, and sometimes even during. But I had a moment, I was just freaking out. I was in my head. Again, I couldn't handle the text messages. I sat in my kitchen. I had one hand on each side, and I was just breathing, like, how am I going to do this? And sat on my kitchen floor, and I went into my own little pity party, and then I was like, wait, stop. I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm able. And I repeated that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again that day until everybody else believed it. Not even just myself. Because I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm capable, and I know that I'm able. Same is true for all of you. Everything it is that you want to do in this world, and even then some of the things that you don't want to do, some of the things that just happen to you as a part of life, you are strong, you are capable, and you are able. This is another one of those affirmations that has been a pivot point for me. The I love you, I forgive you, I will always go back to that. This, I will always go back to this. Because it's simple. Always, always, always go back to simplicity. When overwhelm is setting in, go back to simplicity. What happens when you learn something new? When you learn a new concept?
I get excited.
So before the excitement, struggle, frustration. How many of you have, let's take a look at the concept of time. Right? That's a big one. How many of you have tried to wrap your head around the concept that time does not only exist in this linear form as we experience it? Okay, and how many of you have felt like your head is about to explode? Everybody. Because our human brains are not at a point where we have the capacity to look at that. As our DNA is changing, as we are moving into a crystalline form, as the conscious awareness on this planet is increasing in vibration, we're able to handle and understand concepts like that in a completely different way. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit, actually, because I feel, again, like it's important. This person that came in here yesterday, right, that we all experienced, while he was in the room and the week before, I was seeing premonitions. Things that were beyond fear, This morning I woke up still feeling fear, but I recognized it was like, okay, well, that's fear. That's my internal human response to what I felt as a threat. So looking at that, I was thinking, okay, well, why is the fear there? While I was on stage yesterday, I was seeing visions that to me felt like memories. It felt like it had happened. A few of you are nodding your heads. Did anyone else feel that way? Maybe. There was something that was going on there for me that put my whole body in fight or flight mode. And so I stuck with, let's just stick to the slides. Let's work through this. Let's move through this. But while this was happening, and I don't know how graphic I want to be because I don't want to really like alarm this, but I literally, for the first time in my life, I felt that my life was threatened. Without him doing anything other than what he was doing, which you all saw and witnessed, so I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the premonitions that I was seeing felt different. And so as I was talking with Chad about it this morning, because I said, look, I woke up and I was still freaked out. And I was still feeling the fear, and I'm still like, okay, so what is the lesson? What is this about? And I might just still be in the process stage. But for me, looking at that as far as the concept of time, there's what we were talking about. See, and I get hesitant to talk about this because this is like the reality that I'm still a little bit self-conscious of for me. Because it's, okay, well, if something didn't happen in this time and space, but I was experiencing something that didn't happen yet as though it was a memory, was there another line, another parallel line? Because as we know, the future is always in flux, and we have choices, we have roads to pick, we have different forks at every point. If and when at some point, was that actually a reality in a different time and space? That then we are all working through and healing in a different sort of way. So, what's happening with your concept of time? That intensity, that frustration, the confusion, that I don't know if I can handle this, all of that, those are really good signals because it's showing that you're expanding. It's showing that you're able to see a different sort of possibility, a different sort of potential with that. The reason I'm bringing this up is because you will feel that over and 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 over again as you grow. That frustration, that confusion, that overwhelm. I actually even made a video after I got off the phone with my first coach, because when I first started this less than 2 years ago, I didn't know what a webinar was. I didn't know what an email opt-in was. I didn't know what any of this mumbo jumbo was. Not even close. And so he gets on the phone with me and he's like, you got to do this. You got to sign up with lead pages. You got to create a landing page. You got to get their email opt-in. You got to sign up with MailChimp. You got to do a webinar. You got to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I took out a loan for this. Oh my gosh, freaking out. I went into full-blown overwhelm. And what do I do when I'm freaking out? Apparently you guys know a lot about that. But I made a meditation. And it's on YouTube. It's how to handle overwhelm. How to overcome overwhelm, I think is what it's called. But it's just energy. And it's really, really good energy because it's the energy of you expanding. It's the energy of you stepping into that. When you feel like your cup has runneth over, it's because it has, and you're about to whoop, get bigger. So, really exciting stuff, right? What's going to happen now when you feel overwhelmed? Yes, good listening skills. You're going to take a deep breath, maybe make yourself some tea, and celebrate. Yep, and celebrate. Give yourself a high five. Put on Pump Up the Jam, whatever it's going to be. But celebrate, because it is going to help you, it's going to make you stronger, and it's going to get you one step closer to implementation. So when you get to that implementation, you're going to know exactly how to handle it. So find a stranger. Again, pick a new one. A new stranger. No size of O this again. Sitting. All right, who needs a person? We all good? We all good? Good? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and settle down. Close your eyes. We're going to do a quick meditation. Relief. I'm not going to make you stare deep into each other's souls again. So going within, allowing your grounding cord once again to connect from your root chakra, the base of your spine, all the way down to the center of the planet. Take a look at yourself and see where are you sitting in your own stuck energy right now. And give yourself permission to acknowledge that this is okay, that this is perfect as it be, that your own stuck energy is there to teach you something, to love you, to be kind to you, to nurture you. Release into yourself that which is the judgment around your path. Recognizing that you are stronger than you believe to be in this moment. That you are more capable than you believe in this moment. And you are more able than you believe in this moment. Just feel into your internal strength. Go ahead and think of a moment in your life where you thought you were not going to make it, where everything was too hard, maybe even in a bout of depression. And what did it take from you to pull yourself out of that scenario? How did you find your way to where you are now? Go ahead and release through your grounding cord. Allow the energy that is pulsing through the room to beat, to expand, and to contract, and soften into that. Soften into releasing your muscles, relaxing your muscles. Release into the center of the planet. Letting all of your worries, your fears, and your hesitations sink down, nurturing Mama Gaia, feeding Mother Earth. Go ahead and ask yourself and give yourself permission to find your own emotional attachment to your fear. Recognizing that fear in and of itself is an illusion. The fear is not your reality, but that there is an emotional reason, an emotional attachment that you are holding on to that is giving that fear permission to stay. So do a body scan. And you can quite literally just see yourself doing a scan of energy from the crown of your head down through your body, and just ask your body to show you where you're holding those emotional attachments. And as you see them, color them a neutral purple, however you see that energy, just a neutral purple, and continue scanning. Just highlight where they be. And soften. And repeat the mantra silently to yourself. I am strong, I am capable, I am able. And continue to allow that to flow and pulsate through your body, and continue to soften. Let go of these purple dots, let go of these purple spaces. Release them to the center of the room. All right, asking Archangel Metatron to work with us outside of this container, creating the centrifuge of sacred geometry around this room, and allow that cyclone to continue to purge, to continue to release as you soften and breathe. There's nothing more for you to do than to simply soften and breathe. Allow your mind to have a rest. Allow your own ability to heal to have a rest. Let yourself just simply release and receive. Go ahead and just simply internally talk with yourself for a moment. Go ahead and release that grounding cord. And in a moment, you're going to open your eyes. Keep your eyes closed right now, but in a moment, you're going to open your eyes. And the person with the darkest hair in your pair, you're going to tell that person what it is that you just said in your own internal dialogue. But you're going to look them in the eyes, as we practiced yesterday, and tell them, again, what it is that you are telling yourself. And speak it to them as though it is true for them. When you are receiving, allow yourself to be open to receiving. You recognize that you are not believing what it is that they are saying. Remind yourself to be open to receiving. All right. So go ahead and open your eyes. Determine who has the darker hair in the pair. And that is going to be the person who is speaking first. And go ahead and tell them exactly what it is that you were saying to yourself in your own personal dialogue. All right, you have about 30 more seconds. Go ahead and wrap up what it is that you're saying. All right, and if you haven't already, go ahead and switch. And now allow the other person to go ahead and share with you what it is that they were saying to themselves. And go ahead, if it feels right to you, just open dialogue, and communicate, talk with each other. All right, and when you're ready, get ready. Actually, you know what? Stay where you are. All right. Friends and lovelies, let's go ahead and wrap up your conversations. Hello, hello, hello. I'm really, really proud of all of you and really just had a moment sitting back and watching all of you connecting. And I am just so deeply honored by each and every single one of you and the way that you're showing up and your willingness to connect and talk to and open up with each other. I really, really am impressed by your willingness. So, and there's so many people that I love so much here, and to see all of, I'm crying about it, but to see all of you connecting in such a beautiful way, it really is making my heart melt in so many ways. So thank you. That's my reflection. I'd love to open this up and just hear from you. What is it that's going on with you? How was that for you? What breakthroughs happened? All right, who's feeling the most nervous? Ashley, come on. Can I have a tissue? Someone have a tissue somewhere? I see them at that table. There's 2 boxes? That's because Araya and Denise are there, huh? Thank you. Yeah, seriously.
Okay, can you guys see? Perfect. Who's the most nervous? This is good. It's a challenge. So something that came through to me, I have this pain right here that I've been working with, and especially in meditations that will really show up. And so in that meditation, I felt it wasn't a dialogue, it was the word scream. Mm-hmm. I'm not an overreactor. Like I'm confident in saying I don't say things I don't mean, and especially when I'm angry. A lot of people will do that. But if someone upsets me, then I just take a step back and say, hurt people, that's their journey, I'm gonna handle this on my own. And I realized, just having a history of child abuse and really aggressive and abusive parents, whenever something bad would happen, I couldn't speak my mind, I couldn't speak my heart, I couldn't express my feelings. So for years, I would hide it and just keep it to myself, and it just recently kind of came up. I had cancer, I had cervical cancer in 2010. And I was so stressed out and I was so overwhelmed, and I felt that it was my problem and nobody else's, that I didn't talk about it until recently, because 10 years ago, cancer is totally different than what it is today. So going back to scream and that emotion that I've been holding of like not speaking up, not asking for help, not having my voice be heard, is just really highlighting to me that that's what I need to work on. I need to express myself, and it's okay to scream. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry versus, nope, I'm a mom. I got to be really strong, you know.
Yep.
I'm a daddy's girl.
Yep.
He doesn't want to see me cry. So thanks for letting me
Yeah.
share.
No, thank you so much for sharing, and congratulations on being cancer-free. Woo! And thank you also for posting that. I know it can be really intense to post personal things on Facebook, but I saw that, and I mean, obviously I didn't know you were dealing with that, but seeing that just felt a sense of elation. So really, congratulations on that, because it's a huge deal to overcome cancer. I mean, I never have, but I have friends, and we don't even have to get into cancer, but we all know that it sucks. So yay, go Ashley. Would anyone else like to share? What was that like? Yay!
I'm really scared standing here right now. Yes. Thank you. So I'm going to be doing death work, end of life doula, and I received a message to give to someone in this room about someone they need to talk to who might be passing, and then I was doing this inner dialogue of, but I don't know if they're passing. Maybe I'm wrong, and what if I'm wrong? And who gives a shit if I'm wrong? Maybe they just need to spend time with this person. And then the woman that I was working with, she speaks to the dead, and she said, "Are you talking to the dead? Or are you talking to angels?" I said, "I don't know, maybe both." But it's just that beautiful mirror of turning around and talking to someone that brings that out in me, and can see me and say, "Okay, I see you, and I do this work too." And it's just a confirmation of Spirit is on my side. Spirit, it has my back, and I'm on the right path. So it feels
Hey.
great.
Congratulations. So did you pick your partner because you felt that?
What?
Did you pick your partner because you felt that?
I'm sure I did.
Awesome. So it happened during the meditation, or it happened during...
Well, so when I was meditating, that was happening. And I also heard, "We've always been talking to you. You just haven't listened." And then when I turned around and spoke to, she was right next to me or behind me, and we just started talking. And then after I shared with her my experience, she's like, "Oh, well, guess what I do?" It's like, oh.
Yay! Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's huge. That is huge. That is a life-changing moment right there. You're the one she's talking about, Iva? Do you want to come and share? Can you also tell everyone how far you came to be here?
I came from Oklahoma. I drove 28 hours straight, and I was like, I hadn't drove at all.
Yay! Yay!
I could not wait to get here. I came through a lot of obstacles to get here, but
Thank you.
thanks to her. When I was young, first of all, I lived on an Indian graveyard. Did not know this. This is where we grew up, on our place that we live. I saw spirits walking around all the time. I thought they were normal people. I talked to them. One day, when I was young, I was 10, my uncle died, and he was in the room, and I'm like, "What are you doing in here?" I didn't know he was dead. I thought he was speaking, and I went out and I told my mom, I said, "Uncle Johnny says he's dead, and he says there's a box you need to get," and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you saying?" "My brother's not dead." The phone rings. "He's dead." She told me, "You're a witch. You need to stop this. This needs to stop." When I was in the first grade, I'd go to school. I got a whipping every day. I couldn't realize until yesterday why I got that whipping. Why? I was sitting in there talking to dead people in the classroom. So every day she took me out and she spanked me, trying to whip this out of me. So I put it on hold for a long time until recently. when my mom died, the very person that told me not to talk to dead people, not to do this. She come to me, she apologized. She says, there's a lot of work to be done. I got all my girls, y'all got things to do. You need to tell them. I'm like, Mom, they're not gonna believe me. Do this, you tell them. I told them, we all had a mission that we had to finish for this lady, this woman that put her life on the line for veterans, everything. She had one more box that had to go to a veteran. I had to seek this man's mom out, get his address, find this box, mail this box off, and then they wrote a song, a poem about her. And I mean, it was just awesome that my mom finally, when she was dead, believed in me.
Wow. Wow.
And
Yay.
she doesn't go away.
I'm sure there are a few people in this room that can help
But-
your mother tie up her loose ends.
Yeah, but
Yep.
then I saw you, and then here I am. But I could feel her, and I could see her.
Yay.
What was supposed to happen. Thank you.
That is, absolutely. Wow. How serendipitous. Whew. So many questions. But how many of you grew up as a child feeling presences? Feeling present? Okay. Let me ask who didn't. Okay. I'm just checking for my own personal reference here. I think, one, the ability of the medium is something that goes not talked about, that is shamed, that is punished, that is can be life-changing once you actually figure it out, knowing what it is. Feeling a presence can be scary, right? If we don't know what it is. More often than not, once you get to a point where you can actually experience and feel and learn and talk to, that's actually using and utilizing the gifts in which you were given, and not just the gifts in which you were given. I do truly believe that these are gifts that we cultivate over lifetimes of working with this exact energy. That there has to be a way for the deceased to communicate, to still have interaction with us. Imagine if that was not and never possible. How many stories do we have of people who saw signs, or all of a sudden something appeared, or maybe they weren't feeling the presence, but there was evidence that a loved one had shown up? Looked like about 95% of us in this room are mediums. When I was asking, as you were sharing your story, is there a person in this room that is not a medium? I got the answer no. So even for those of you that were not feeling presences as you were young, it doesn't matter. That's not, it's kind of one of those like indicators, but it is not the tell-all. It is not like the end of it. I think one of the reasons that people run away from, well, one is religion, huge. Huge. The other one is the fear of feeling crazy. One of the classes at the Berkeley Psychic Institute was you're not crazy, you're psychic, which I found a lot of relief in, personally. Like, oh, okay, good. Not the only loony here. But learning how to understand and how to work with and manage your mediumship abilities is absolutely critical. I do believe that it's like learning to read. It's learning the alphabet. In this world, with the gifts that you have, it's really imperative to learn how to do that. And maybe I'm the person, maybe there's somebody else that is going to help you do that, but learning how to develop those abilities so that you can understand them, it will be life-changing and incredibly liberating because it is part of who you are. It's not a part that's going to go away. It's not a part that you can shut off. And trust me, I have tried every single direction that I know how to. Every single direction that I know how to, I tried to turn my abilities off. Over and over and over again. After I chose a path, guess what? You can't go back. After this weekend, you're not going to go back. You're not going to be able to go back to the way that you were before, because all of a sudden new doors of conscious awareness are open, and once you walk through them, you can't go back. Surprise! You really can't. And the beautiful thing about that is that it encourages you to continue to go forward. So one of the things that I would say that I wish somebody told me in the beginning is that you can't go back, that you can't shift, that you can't change it. Because I wanted to be careless longer. I wanted to keep screwing around longer. I wanted to keep being irresponsible longer. I wanted to keep going on benders longer. And I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to, and I tried really hard. So the more that you can accept these aspects of yourself, the more that you can learn to appreciate them, connect with people, have conversations. One of the greatest gifts for me is having people to call when dragons show up. Araya, as one of our earth angels, she has written a book, The Dragon Within, which I am still, I will read it when I'm not in event planning mode, but I will read it. And one of the things is that there was something happening in my life, and all of a sudden dragon energy started showing up, and not just dragon energy, but I was turning into a dragon. Similar to the experiences I had when I was starting to find my wings. I started to see these wings behind my back and thought, oh, what a cute visualization. And then it became more and more apparent, and it started showing up in meditations. It showed up in the Stargate. It showed up over and over again. And I would wake up missing home, craving home so bad, punishing myself for taking the choice to be in a body, for being a human being. Have any of you felt the homesickness of going home, home? Home, home. It is the worst. It is the worst. It's like not being suicidal and not having anything to do about it. That to me is one of the greatest pains, and I will also say that to me is the biggest motivator. I look at death as graduation day. I know this is a bit morbid, but I look at it as graduation day. I accomplished what I came here to accomplish. So maybe the other morbid part about that is that I'm working so hard and I'm doing everything that I can to get home again. That's a dark side of my reality, to be completely honest. It really is. But those feelings, those experiences, that knowing that we have something to do, that our mission isn't over, that there's something more to expand in, that there's something more to learn. The other part about that is that knowing that for myself has made me completely fearless. Completely fearless. You all have missions here to do, and you're not going anywhere until you fulfill them. And if you don't fulfill them in this lifetime, it is my belief, take it with a grain of salt, but I do believe that it is going to follow you. And I have no concrete answer as to where it's going to follow you or for how long it's going to follow you, but you are here for a reason. It's really important to step into that role for yourself. And I'm not saying this as like, woo, guru, motivational speaker, you can do it. I'm saying for real. Like for real, for real. This is part of the why of what I do. That homesickness, that feeling, I believe that I've been home. I believe that I've felt it. I believe that I was there. I remember making the choice to come here. I remember being with my council of guides and angels before taking this body. I've accessed these memories. And as beautiful and warm and wonderful and welcoming as they are, it also has created just an aching in my soul to get back there. And my point in that is that the strength that you have, I remember as a little girl, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I must have gotten in trouble or something because I was always in trouble, but I was laying in my bed and I literally was like, I want out. I want out. So for my first suicide attempt, I was 8 years old. I want out. Get me out. This sucks. This whole Samantha thing, game over. Barf. Because that was my internal dialogue, right, at 8 years old. And I mean, this is a true story. And there was this moment of this existential realization, well, if you don't do this, somebody else has to, and you chose to. There was a voice that came into my head in that moment. And I don't know, I just got chills again. But I don't know how we remember certain thoughts and we don't remember others. But that particular one has stayed with me to this day and obviously is important enough for me to share. That there is something to this. You guys realize this isn't a normal event. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to go learn some stuff. This is transformative. I tell myself every day I'm starting a revolution. I'm not starting a revolution to find people to follow me. I'm starting a revolution to find people who want to be warriors of their own, who want to build their own empire, who want to start their own revolution. No matter how big, no small, it does not matter. You don't have to find your way to a stage by any means. You do not have to do this. But I will do everything I can to be able to equip you with what it is that you are looking for and what it is that you need to know in order to accomplish your goals of what you came here and set out to accomplish. The people whose lives you are meant to connect with and talk to and help and serve. The death midwife, the psychopomp, these are extraordinary gifts. I went up to Virginia City, recently on an intuitive hit. I literally put my dog in my car to go to the dog park. Next thing you know, I'm at Whole Foods buying lunch so I can go to Virginia City. And I show up to Virginia City, and I'm still like, I'm crazy. But there's something here. So I keep going up to Virginia City, and I was shown that it was time for me to start creating a portal to basically a bridge, a gateway. Let this gateway be open, because if you've ever been to Virginia City, it is incredibly active to the point where it is frustrating as a medium to be up there. And so I went up there, I drove down the main street, and I spread my angel wings out as far and wide as I could, and I just started sweeping and sweeping and sweeping as I drove down Main Street to clear and cleanse and to just give a heads up. Hey, spirits that are ready to cross, there's a portal that's open. And you're more than welcome to go and check it out, whatever it be. I have a being that is a guide for me in this life. I never knew her in the body, but there's a whole nother story around that. She's a guide for me that actually helps me work with beings that are stuck, because she was stuck for a long time. And she helps build that bridge. I was also there with my Mimi, who I've told you about. She was there helping. I also just felt like it was important for me to text into my earth angels and say, hey, I'm up at Virginia City. I've created a portal. So anyone that wants to chime in and help these beings cross, please do. And it was like the coolest texting conversation I think I've ever been a part of. People were like, yeah, I'm coming in. Melody was like, I'm coming in at Dragon Lady Red. Randy was like, I see you. It was awesome. So awesome. And honestly, it's like that for me is the gift that I get to experience, that I get to share, that we all get to share. And when you get to that point, when I was starting off, there's no way I could have done that. No way. But I've gotten stronger as I've chose to continue to open myself up, to continue to grow, that I know that I can do that and I can be safe and I can be supported. I went and sat in that Catholic church, and I had a come to Jesus meeting that was beautiful and wonderful, and it really was me and Jesus. I sat in pew 55, because 55 is my number. That is a number of great change, and it is a number that always shows up when I'm growing. It's just super fun. I know it sounds weird, but for me, it's super fun. My reality and my connection with what is fun has completely changed. Completely changed. And it's thrilling now. It's exciting. It's invigorating. It's emotionally rewarding. It's energetically rewarding to be able to see that. Deb mentioned that she was seeing how grateful these spirits were to have that opportunity, to have that bridge open up, to be able to move through and move past. And there's no pressure, right? I'm not sitting there going into every single bar and talking to the dead people who are there to get a rise, because they do exist. You know, it's more just like, hey, those that are being pestered by these assholes, come on, let's go. Because it happens. And it's really, really, really rewarding and really, really cool. So those of you that are mediums, for those of you that have felt presences, I'm not saying dive into it right away, but just be aware that this exists for you. That you have spent lifetimes cultivating this ability. You've spent lifetimes getting to the point where you can be in that place where you can facilitate this for so many, not just humans, but beings outside of that. And then you build a team in the human bodies, and you build a team in spirit bodies. And when you have a team on both sides, really and truly anything is possible. Anything can happen for yourself. I quite literally mean anything on this planet that is possible. You can create that. Also, as long as you're in alignment with yourself. That's the key. All right, so I went over because I got excited. But let's go ahead and just take a second to go within. I'm just going to say, go ahead and take a moment to be with yourself. To recognize that you're changing. Say hello to your root chakra. Simply acknowledge its presence. Say hello to your second chakra, right below your belly button. Say hello to your third chakra, right there below your rib cage. Say hello to your heart, your fourth chakra. Say hello to your fifth chakra, your space and communication. There's a lot of blockages going on there. So we're just going to take an extra second to say hi to that. Saying hello to your third eye, your sixth chakra. Saying hello to your seventh chakra, your crown. So your upper body chakras are your spirit-based chakras. Your lower body chakras are your body-based chakras. So from your heart, your fifth, your sixth, and your seventh, these chakras are most closely associated and connected in with your spirit abilities. That's why most people are empaths before they are anything else, because they are closely associated or connected in with their second chakra, which is your emotions, your gut intuition, your male and female balance, your energy of sexuality. We as human beings are connected in with that, so it's easier to be a feeler than it is to be a clairvoyant at first. So when you're opening up that fifth chakra space, your communication, this is also your clairaudience, your ability to hear spirit. Similar to what Michelle and Iva were talking about. Your seventh chakra is the one on top of your head, on your crown. Or, yeah, we'll start there. That your seventh chakra is the one on top of your head. That is your crown. That is your chakra that is connected to your spirit, your divine will, your higher self. Is your connection to your God. Your sixth chakra, your third eye, this is the ability to see energy. This is the ability to see spirit. This is also where some people get stuck in their analyzer. They happen to be located in the same place. So it's important to separate those. That your third eye is your third eye in the center of your forehead, that your analyzer is kind of right there between your eyebrows, located in your head. So just saying hello, acknowledging that those are there, that this is part of your energetic anatomy, that before somebody told you you had a stomach, you had no idea you had a stomach. So as you learn about your chakras, recognize that there is the energetic anatomy that is important for you to learn to understand your entire makeup. Take a nice, big, deep breath. And bring gratitude into yourself. Bring gratitude for yourself, for being here, for showing up, for stepping up, for being present with yourself. Go ahead and create that nice big giant golden sun above the crown of your head. As you create that nice big giant golden sun above the crown of your head, go ahead and inhale in through your nose, and as you exhale, breathing in and out, let that golden sun energy drop into your space, filling yourself all the way up from your tippy toes to your feet, your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, up through your torso, filling your heart completely through your shoulders, down through the tips of your fingers, up through your neck, filling up your entire head, up to the crown of your head until you are overflowing into your aura, filling your energetic body all the way completely with your highest vibrational golden sun frequency. Bringing yourself into the highest version of yourself that you can be in this moment, releasing any and all energy that does not match this frequency, allowing it to release down through your grounding cord once again. If you feel you need a brand new grounding cord because you've released so much, go ahead and create yourself a brand new grounding cord once again. And let's go ahead and do snapping again. Snap your fingers. Just bring yourself back into space. Go ahead when you open your eyes, take a look at the projector screen. Have you found your people yet? There's more of us. So real quick before we break, I have one more question for you. Have you guys seen the movie The Borrowers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, everybody needs to go out and see The Borrowers. It's about these little tiny people that live in your house and they borrow your things to live. The borrowers. Little tiny, tiny people. I think about that movie all the time because I feel like it relates to my life. We're finding our people. We're finding the people that vibrate at our frequency. We're finding the people that are here on this journey, on this ride with us because we are so much stronger together. Us all doing that check is in the mail dance together, that amplifies it. As Ray and I have talked about, it doesn't just square the energy, it doesn't just cube the energy, it actually brings it to a completely another level. And I don't know how many of us are in here right now, but amplifying that by that degree, that's why we're going to do it a couple more times, because why not?